projection. And the reason why I wanted to bring this topic in is because it's one of the things that I believe it can be really difficult to understand and navigate when we are in experiences that activate our fear response, our feelings, like heighten our experience. So what happens is we can project when we don't even know that we're doing it. So this is all going to be about how to start to understand when we're projecting. What is projection too? We use the word a lot. I've heard the word a lot. So I'll just break that down today and give you actual examples of what it is, and then just talk about how you can go about starting to identify when you might be projecting. Now, we can project positive things onto people and negative things onto people. And the reason why I bring that in is because today we're going to focus on more when it's more around we might project negative experiences of people on people, because the positive we can also do when we might be the type of person that sees other people's potential, or we get excited for someone when we might be projecting our own potential onto them. So there's also like we could also be projecting when there are good feelings as well. So what is projection? Projection is when you believe something is about someone else and it's actually coming from inside you. It's when your feelings, belief, or fears get put onto another person without you realizing it. You don't see them as they really are. You see them through the lens of your own past pain, insecurity, or unmet needs. Now, what happens with projection is someone might upset us, and then in between that, and I always talk about the gap in between. So when they've upset us, we go into a fear response. And if we're just reactive, we're projecting. If we stop and go underneath, that's when we start to understand our experience and we can respond in a different way. So I talk about this a lot in other topics, and this is just another way of navigating our triggers and activations. Why do we project? So we are protecting ourselves from feelings that we don't want to feel. So that, many people, that's why they can sort of blame out, get really upset with others, because if we have to come back to ourselves, we may have to feel some really uncomfortable feelings. So a way to cope is to project that out, because we haven't made space to process old woundings. So we could be projecting when we don't even know there's a wounding there, and it's reminding us of a past experience. So we may project in that way as well. And then also because something in the present moment is activating something painful from the past. So that's just another similar way to say we haven't looked at our woundings. Hello, Kate, you're in. In holistic counseling, we gently explore these projections to help. So understanding where your reactions are really coming from, see how your past experience shape your current relationships, and break free from all patterns that cause pain, distance, or disconnection. So why is it so important to know when you're projecting, when you don't realize you're projecting? I've already mentioned this before, but often because we're reacting to people based on our past rather than the present moment. When we react to people based on our past, we're actually seeing it through that lens, and we're not with that person. We're feeling all these feelings from our past experience that we're then projecting onto the other person as though they are the person that kind of created that wounding in the past. And generally they're not. They just have similar qualities, or something they're saying or doing is making us feel that activation. So blame others or yourself for emotions that are coming up from the past. Anytime we're blaming out, we're projecting onto that person. Now, this doesn't mean that people don't treat us unfairly or poorly, or, it doesn't mean that I'm saying that you're never in a position where you can't be upset. It's the way that we navigate that, because it's having emotions, anger, blaming, any of those things, they're signals that something's upsetting us. Before responding or reacting, if we understand what's really happening, then we can stand up for ourselves if we need to. We can set boundaries if we need to. We can clearly communicate what's happening within us. Whereas if we're projecting, we're just reacting to the experience without that awareness. And what happens with that is we can push away love, connection, and truth because you're seeing through a distorted lens. So, projection is another form of thinking from a distorted lens, which we've covered before in another YouTube masterclass. So, when you become aware, you can pause and ask, is this really about them? Or is this touching something in me that needs to be seen, understood, and supported? That's when deep healing happens. So, what I'm still practicing this as a therapist. I think everyone is practicing doing this, is to be able to ask ourselves, is this about them? Like, is this completely about them? Now, there will be times where it's a co-creation, and there'll be things that that other person is doing that's upsetting us, and that's where we bring in our boundaries. But sometimes it can be so distorted that it's not really the. It's not. Sometimes it might not even be a co-creation. So we've got to become curious and really slow down so we can pause and ask those questions, like, what's really happening here? Even asking that question alone is a pause. So what I've got here is the difference between reacting without awareness, and then the next slide will be when you have the awareness. So let's go with so at the top we've got, we place our pain, fears, or past experiences onto others without realizing it. Situation, partner doesn't reply quickly, so to a message, to an email, whatever it is. Inner state, feels like abandonment. What we say or do, you don't care about me. So this is the projection, because it's not necessarily true. It might be that the partner is busy. They might have had some other things on their mind. Friends cancel plans, feels like rejection. You always leave me out. So these are just examples of how we project. Often when we use absolute language, always, you always do this to me. People don't care about me. Someone succeeds, feels like failure or not enoughness. So this is, they're showing off. That's the tall poppy syndrome we see a lot of in Australia, is that, someone might be jealous, and yeah, so they're projecting that, saying, oh, they're showing off. Boss gives feedback, feels like criticism or shame. They don't appreciate me. Now, the inner state, I haven't put emotions to these, but underneath abandonment, there'll be emotions there. So it might be sadness, it might be grief or anger. There will be different emotions underneath that. So feels like rejection underneath that. We might feel, again, sadness, anger, or just whatever emotion we can think of. So just think of that as well, that it's layered. So when we respond with awareness, it's very different, and it creates more connection. Partner doesn't reply quickly, and I might feel anxious. It reminds me of being ignored before. I notice I'm feeling a bit anxious and could use some reassurance. So that gives us a really good way to framework to know, okay, how can I communicate this to my partners when they don't reply to my message? I feel this anxiety around it, but also not putting everything on the partner. So having this, like, letting them know, and then also building the self-regulation as well. So being able to identify when that needs to happen too. Friend cancel plans. This stings. It brings up old rejection stuff. I feel disappointed and a bit hurt. Can we talk about it? So it's leaning into connecting rather than probably the flight response coming in, or wanting to not speak to them. Someone succeeds, I'm comparing myself and feeling small. Whoa, I admire their success. What does this stir in me? Boss gives feedback, I'm feeling sensitive. I'm hearing this through old shame. Thanks for the feedback. I'd like a moment to reflect on it. So this is a very different approach to when we are just reactive. I've got some more examples here because I think it's good for us to know how we can disown parts of ourselves too. And this is, I'm going to give you some examples. So projection can be a very good indicator of one of the ways we project is through judgment. Judgment can be a signal. So it's important we don't say things like judging is bad and projection is bad. I see it as a signal, it's information. And so when we judge, what can happen is we're disowning parts of ourselves. We've disowned parts of ourselves that were unsafe to be when we were younger. So if I judge someone for being lazy, it might have been very unsafe when I was young to rest, to not do anything, to be even maybe if I was lazy, I probably more than likely would have been in a little bit of a shutdown. So when I get older, I become really productive and I value productivity. And when I see someone's not doing anything, I might say, oh, they're lazy. And that's my projection because I have a judgment towards that because it was unsafe for me to be that growing up. So they're so clingy or needy when we're disowned our own needs for connection. They're so cold when we fear rejection and want closeness. They're always taking up space when we're conditioned to stay small. That you judge someone for being too loud or attention seeking. You may have learnt silence to silence your own voice to say safe or accepted. So anytime you find yourself saying these things, you can, rather than just go, oh, I shouldn't judge, you can then go, oh, what's this telling me about me? Maybe there's a part of me that feels like standing out is scary and not safe. And how could I do that more in a safe way? You judge someone for being emotionally dramatic. You may have learnt to disconnect from your own emotions to avoid being seen as too much. So I'll just move on from that one. We project when we don't ask for what we need, expecting. So this is another way we can project, expecting others to read our mind and feeling disappointed when they don't. Using guilt, withdrawal, or silence to express a need. Avoiding clear communication and then blaming others for unmet needs. So there's really a lot of different ways we can project. We can project also, we don't hold boundaries. So saying yes when we mean no, then feeling taken advantage of. Overgiving in hopes of will finally be seen. Withholding truth to avoid rejection, then resenting others. Boundaries create emotional safety. Projection thrives where boundaries are unclear. So this masterclass on projection is really asking us to step into that radical ownership, right, of our experience. So then we minimize projecting. Now, it's impossible to never project onto anyone because we are human and we have experiences and we have triggers and it happens. And so what is really good about it is that after we've maybe done it, that's when we can self-reflect and speak, feel into it or get therapy. And that's where therapy comes in too. Self-projection when blame turns inward. So we can project towards ourselves as well, because when we're in blame, so it's my fault, I'm too emotional, they left because I'm unlovable. So that's our internalized trauma. We often blame ourselves to feel in control of pain. So that's another way we can project because we don't want to feel the pain underneath the blame. Generally, blaming ourselves we may shame ourselves. And what I found in my practice is if I'm still on that layer of shame, I can't quite get underneath and self-reflect on what's really happening underneath the shame, because the shame almost keeps me from doing that, because what it does is it's just like, well, it's just my fault and that's it. Like, it's my fault, I shouldn't have done it. And we judge ourselves and shame ourselves rather than go, okay, well, why did I do it? What happened there? What could I learn from this? Like, what maybe is underneath the shame? If I remove the shame, what would I see? What would I feel? And it would probably be more than likely a vulnerable part of us that is feeling some big emotions. Self-projection when blame turns inwards. Yeah, I must have doubled up on that one. So, how to go from projecting to responding with self awareness. So, I've got some good examples here. I've added therapy. So, you can do this on your own with some. I believe we can do this on our own when it's not so amplified in us. So, what I mean by that is if I'm activated or triggered, either word is acceptable here. If I'm activated or triggered, it depends how much of my fear response has taken over my ability to self-reflect, to whether I need to get external support or I could do it myself. If it's just a little bit annoying and frustrating, and maybe I just find myself feeling uncomfortable, you could probably go through these techniques yourself. If you find that it's really bringing this dysregulation in and it's a fear response has come into the system, I would really recommend working with a therapist or even talking to a friend if you can't afford therapy, like talking to someone safe about your experience just to let it out. So, at number one, how can we do this? What am I really feeling? So notice what you're really feeling after the activation, or if you're feeling a bit of unease or there's something there that's making you feel uncomfortable. What story am I telling myself about this person or situation? So, how does therapy help here when we might be too far in the experience and we can't see anything out? Therapy helps you slow down enough to tune into real emotions underneath the reaction. The reason why it helps with this is your therapist helps co regulate with you to be able to actually go in and self reflect. So then we want to regulate. So any way that you can regulate, pause, breathe, ground. Nature's really good for that, but some people have their list of things that help them soothe and regulate. I would recommend writing a list if you don't have one. You can't reflect when your nervous system is overwhelmed. Now, this is because part of our brain we're in our primitive brain when we're too overwhelmed. So regulation is crucial to be able to self-reflect. That's why I'm always like, notice what's happening. If it's too overwhelming, then going and doing something to regulate can bring you back to be able to self-reflect. Then reflect, does this feel familiar from my past? Now, the reason why I recommend working with a therapist is because if this is something like quite traumatic, you would want someone there with you to help you process it. But if you feel like your activation will probably tell you as well whether it's something really big or it's maybe just something subtle where it does feel familiar. It's when in my past at school, my teacher used to tell me off for speaking in class. So then I learnt that I had to be quiet, and something like that could be a little more subtle when we ask that question, does it feel familiar? Often what feels big in the present is really a bruise from long ago being touched again. Therapy helps you connect the dots with compassion. Express, can I name the truth without blame? Now, this is a really amazing question because if you remove the blame, so if I remove blaming out and I remove blaming myself, then what's left? And that's what I was talking about before. What's left is underneath the blame, I'm feeling an emotion, I'm feeling sensations, I'm feeling dysregulated. So being with that dysregulation. Once you explored your feelings, you can express what's real for you without projecting it onto others. Therapy gives you the language and space to do that. Okay, so it was a bit shorter today. I would really like to hear from you both, if you're open to it, like what your experience of like what projection is for you, what it means to you. And if you have any questions, please bring them in. Okay,
I'll say something. I don't know the answer to that exactly. It's a lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
And I missed probably something important at the beginning. I think I've nearly got it, but it's pretty much I wrote down like reacting to people based on my past.
Yeah.
I do know that feeling when I guess I can feel that feeling when I'm in that it's like way out of proportion to the event, whatever it is. But there's, yeah, I thought projecting too is just, yeah, I don't know, it's more than I thought it was, I guess. I thought it was like projecting ideals and wants onto other people.
Yeah, so that's an example. Absolutely, that's an
Um,
example. Because if I'm like projecting my spirituality, religion, or any of that sort of stuff, or my beliefs of something, it's sometimes if I'm doing that to you forcefully, it's because I feel uncomfortable about you having different opinion to me. So I'm
mm,
sitting in the disempowerment of what I'm feeling. I'm projecting out because I'm like, you need to think this too.
it's interesting the judging bit, I guess. It's like the minute you start judging, because yeah, like there's something there. So it's like, it's not just because I'm, a nice person, but sometimes I'm like, yeah, I don't, something or other. And then you're like, oh, why do I have those feelings? And then you shame yourself for like judging people because you want, but it's really interesting to just go, there's something there. What is that? Why is that? Why do I feel annoyed at that? Like, yeah. So,
Yeah, and a question you could ask the next time you find yourself doing that, which is, and it's okay to judge. We all judge. It's probably
mm,
actually it's important thing to have, especially discernment. Is what makes me feel unsafe about what that person's doing or how they're
mm.
acting.
It's also about what people wear or like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
I think it's because I was quite poor when I grew up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but yeah, okay. I don't know.
That is great.
Interesting. Um, I think it happens a lot. And I've only realized after the fact, kind of like if my partner's like, I think you need to ground. And I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about, you know? And then later I'm like, oh, yeah, there's something going on there. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, I don't have a lot to share. But yeah, I wrote down the main things. It's very interesting. And yeah, I obviously self project. Um, it's my fault or I'm all those things. But that was very interesting about if you, and I nearly got my head around that. If you're doing that, then your protector's sort of trying to keep you away from what's actually really happening.
Yeah.
Complicated.
It, it is, but you've got it. That's exactly
And
what
so
I.
shame, yeah, and the shame and the blame. It's like what's actually going on because you'd say that to me, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm starting to
Yeah.
understand why you're doing that. Ask
Yes. Yeah. But when we
because
were together.
shame, yeah, is just stopping you from seeing what's underneath. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got it. Spot on. Yep.
Okay.
Great. Glenda, have you got any questions, or I'll unmute?
Yeah, I still haven't got it actually. I'm very confused by it to a point. Like, I guess, I guess a lot of it for me is inadequacy and not feeling, I suppose, I don't know, confident or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
An example is like, say, when a friend is always saying, "Oh, well, I did so well there. Oh, everything was just spot on. Oh, I made scones the other day and I nailed it." And it's a constant 100%. Everything's everything she does is so perfect. And it's like, well, for me, I get sick of hearing it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of like, well, I don't understand this. Why? I mean, I know it's upsetting me because I guess I don't feel adequate enough in myself to actually say, well, yeah, like I made some this the other day or whatever, and oh, it was bang on, spot on. Um, but is that like a projection thing? But also, are they projecting like onto me how good they are?
So this is the exploration piece. It's a very good example too, by the way, Glenda. Thank you for bringing that in.
Thank you. I'm confused by that.
Yeah. Can we explore it? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Oh, cool. Okay. So what I would say is when you notice your friend talking about the scones and like how perfect everything was, what comes up for you? Like, what do you notice in yourself?
I suppose it's like, oh my goodness, you can't be so good at everything constantly 100% or 150% all the time.
So
And
yes, that's good.
sorry.
What would you call that? What would you call that? That you can't be good at everything. Like, why?
Maybe jealousy, would it be?
Well,
I feel
say,
that it's not overly that jealousy. Um,
I hear when you said it, I was like distrust in what she's saying, because it's like there's only one side. You're hearing all the good things.
yeah, I guess so, but not the underneath thing. So, at times, quite often, I see the underneath bits of that person. And it's really hard for me to decipher. I guess I just feel like saying sometimes, like, oh, look, that's really brilliant. And everybody plays up to it. Oh, that's so fantastic. You did so well. And it's like, okay, I don't sometimes know how to deal with that. I sometimes I feel like walking away and just going, yeah, yeah, it
So
just
it's
confuses
a bit of
me.
the flight response as well, and you notice that there's some maybe something hidden in what she's saying.
Um, to a point, but also I guess I don't know whether I then I see mine to a point, but then I see that underneath part of them.
Yes. Yeah,
And
we'll get to that. We will definitely get to that, because that
okay.
you've got a point there. We absolutely see that in people. So this will be a co-creation one. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So if you go back to one of those examples, what would you say the feeling, sensation, or emotion is? And we can navigate that together. So what do you notice? You said you can't be good at everything, so maybe some frustration.
Possibly, yes. Um, um, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm honestly not really sure.
it's okay.
It's just confusion, totally confusion for me. Because I don't know.
Confusion in that moment, or confusion thinking about it?
Um, I suppose confusion thinking about it.
Yeah. So what we've hit is
Yeah.
an edge. So confusion comes up when we've hit an edge. So there's something there. Generally, what can happen, and you tell me if this resonates with you or not,
Yep.
is when we feel like we fear that we might be judged, or to express like from this place, or we may feel shame come up or something like that. Sometimes we can get confusion. There'll be something underneath confusion there, and I'm just guessing here because obviously we're not going right in,
Yeah.
but sometimes confusion can come in because we've hit a bit of like a discomfort.
Hit a bit of a nerve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say there's something probably deeper there for you to explore and go into, that would probably have like a big meaning in it. So, and I'm not taking away from what you're noticing, because you're noticing
No.
something and it would be connected to what you're noticing. That's why I go
Mm.
within you and what you feel, and then I say from that awareness, then I go out. Okay, now what do you notice?
Okay. Hmm. Um,
Yeah, it's a tricky one because of
yeah,
confusion.
I sort of can't really think about it on the spot sort of type thing.
Yes,
I have to analyze it and pull it to pieces.
I think so too. I think it's one of
Yeah.
those things that we would have to go into and explore together. Or even if you did it yourself, you could do some journaling on it and ask yourself questions around it,
Mm,
and explore it, like you said, and unfold it and see how you go with
yeah,
that.
roll
And
it and
then,
fold it.
yeah, and with that awareness, then what I would suggest is then look, then with that awareness, go, okay, now why does this experience have a bit of an impact on me where my flight response wants to come in? It will make more
Mm,
sense for you.
yeah. And what about, as you said, like that other person?
Yes.
What that projection is, that's where I think I get really bamboozled. That, oh, okay. To me, it's, I don't know. Have you ever heard of fig jam?
Fig jam?
Mm.
Yeah.
It's a, yeah. Have you heard what that means?
No. What does it?
Okay. Fuck, I'm good. Just ask me.
Ah.
It's just, and it flicks, my mind flicks back to that at times. And yeah, and that's where I sort of get a little bit off kilter as to what, I think that's where I get confused. That what are they projecting?
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think that it would be hard to know what you're picking up on because they're not here, obviously.
yeah.
That I feel this is my hypothesis. Let's just like make up something just to
Yep.
make it up. When there'd be some sort of connection of someone saying something like, I'm so good, look at how good I am, da, da, da. I think there's something there in terms of there could be a connection of like when you were like, I've done this, like when you were younger, maybe you're like, look at what I've done. It's so amazing. And then you did not get the response that,
Yeah, I got shut down.
yes, yes. So it's not safe
Okay.
to do that.
Okay. I get that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense actually, because that's pretty much true in every sense of the word. Mm.
That's it. Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
And so
Okay.
there's an unsafety in it. And saying that, you could also be picking up on, so the other person could have their own experience, right? And their own
Mm.
experience could be something like perfectionism. I want external validation, so I will only show the side of me that masters everything.
Mm.
So I might not share with you my vulnerability of how I got here. I'll just share with you the end incredible product because I just want that. I want you to just see me as that.
Okay.
That's me making it up. That's
Okay.
like a story, like a scenario.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they may have been shut down as well as a child,
Yeah. So they
and
might only, yes. So,
that's what I'm picking up on because I was aware. Maybe I was. I mean, maybe it's true. I'm exactly the same way, but
so
instead of actually doing that and saying, like I did well, or whatever, I keep quiet because I'm afraid of a negative like response, I guess.
yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay, that sort of explains it
Yeah.
more. I've not ever been able to understand complete projection because my daughter's told me a few times, Mum, you're projecting on me. Oh, bullshit.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, but you could be also picking up on the other person, me making it up without knowing what the other person's doing, is
yep,
that they may have got love by creation, like creating things like that. That's maybe how they were loved and
yeah,
and validated as well, where maybe they cooked when they were young and their parents or caregivers or growing up people were like, that's incredible, and that's what makes them feel good and feel validated.
Yes, and they need that validation to actually, like, I suppose, have that confidence within themselves and constantly reaching out to whoever it may be that I'm so good. Is that what, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, so it could be a mixture of both.
yeah,
like
okay.
you've got that there, and then the person that's sort of expressing their best side. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Okay. Oh man, it's so confusing.
It
Just
is.
going through this stuff is just like just
So with that awareness now, though, how do you see the situation now?
um I don't know. Just show love, I suppose.
Ah,
Yeah, for me, it's just showing that love and yeah.
so you're empathizing with her now.
Mm,
Oh,
maybe.
is it too far? You're like, that's
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
who would you be showing love?
Oh, now you got me. Possibly me.
Ah, I like that.
Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting.
There we go.
Oh, life's a beach, isn't it?
Love
Isn't it, Kate? Oh, dearie me.
Thanks, Glenda. I'll leave it
Thank
there with
you.
you. Oh, amazing.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Kate, how are you going there?
Okay. I thought that was very interesting because I just thought that person sounded annoying. I guess I was judging or something because I'm like, oh, or something. It was just like, it was just really interesting. Yeah, like there's just a lot more to it. Why people do and what's happening and
Mm.
or I've done lots of therapy. I can diagnose them. Oh, they sound like this or that. I bet. I don't
Yeah.
know. You don't really. Yeah, you don't really know. But I guess, yeah, I think then I was like the same. I think not really rewarded. I'm terrible at taking positive feedback. I'm like, if someone says something nice to me, I'm kind of like,
Yep.
I'm just like, it doesn't land. I'm like, um, yeah, so it's very interesting as to why. And then, yeah, if people are successful, then you can feel jealous or I don't know, lots of different things, I guess. But it's like, yeah, I was thinking about different people. And I'm like, why do I feel intimidated by them? Because they're like, sort of outgoing or doing, yeah, I don't know. It just made me think about a lot of different things and why I may or may not like certain people, or it's not as simple as it looks, I guess is what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
objections. And then, yeah, yeah. Or I thought I went and looked at this little drama therapy group thing, and the lady started being quite dramatic. I was like, I don't feel comfortable right now. And I was like, maybe it's because I was always shut down because I'm quite ridiculous. Like, given the chance, I could be quite sort of outgoing, but I think I was always like laughed at and stuff. So I'm like, it's not safe to be that outgoing. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, that's
thought
great that you have that awareness. So what you're both doing here and now is putting that pause in between the reaction. So you've got more information and you're looking at your experience of it. And so then you can go into those situations going, there might be a part of me that feels very vulnerable in this as well. Like, especially when you say,
like that would be really good for me. Yeah, and I left halfway through it. Kind of, I was like,
yeah,
very interesting. Yeah, so it's like being able to decipher not actually good for you or right, or if you're just carrying this stuff and with you, that's like it's not safe to do this thing. Like that's really not very, you know.
Yes, I love that you brought that in just there, that I'm doing something good and safe, but then when you're doing it, you might feel unsafe in it because of projections. And
Mm,
that's common when people come into healthy relationships and secure relationships.
mm.
If there if there's projections in that, we can cause like conflict or breakups because we are projecting or distorting the reality. So
Yeah, I've been told that I do that a bit. I like in when you're triggered or whatever, you're like, that person's crazy. Like, what are they talking about? Like, and then later you're like, I guess I was a little bit strange, but it's really interesting. It's like your brain is just. So now I know if someone's like trusted says, I think you're doing that, then I'm like, I have to take a beat and go, what's going on for me?
amazing. That's
But
brilliant.
it's got to be like I've
Yeah.
said enough times, like it's got to be someone you actually trust. That's good, because people in the part, people can use that to manipulate you or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah, I exactly, someone you trust, because people can also be projecting onto you.
this is confusing. So I would like yeah, have a whole session on projection. And is that like my mom and my family and all that stuff? It's I still
Yeah.
fully get it, I think, but I will. I feel like I'm close.
Yeah. So someone that could be giving you feedback. That's why I'm always like, be careful who gives
Yeah,
you
I
feedback.
give you feedback
Yeah.
on projections.
Yeah.
I don't fully get it in my head though, but yeah, I can see now how even because I was always wanting to rescue everyone or help them all, and you try to do it in a way that you think is what they need, which is only what you need, like or something weird.
Yeah. That's a really good example too. And the other
Yeah.
person, so when we have it, you'll notice if someone's in projection, because it will actually, and they're giving us feedback, it will activate us. But here's the kicker.
Ah,
We can also have, we can also have healthy feedback given to us and be activated and feel
yeah,
like it's also judgment too. So
yeah,
this is why the exploration piece is so needed, because
yeah,
it just varies depending on your woundings, your experience, whatever. Like it varies on all those things.
yeah. I can't take nearly any feedback anymore. It's like it's like what? It's just straight away. I've done something wrong, and the world's ending. Kind of. That's yeah. So it's like really, yeah. I've got to learn.
So when you get feedback, you notice that you go, oh my gosh, I've done that. Like you blame
I
yourself.
end completely like dorsal vagal usually, or yeah, it's like I've got to, yeah, it's like yeah,
Yeah. How long does it take you to come back up to be like, okay, what's really
depends. Yeah, it depends.
depends. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Just
I'm
start.
sort of trying to just stay away from getting feedback. I think it's
So so we can't avoid feedback,
we
unfortunately.
can't. No, like no, I know, but I'm just yeah. It's like I need to learn how to understand it better and then go back out into the world.
Well, I think you're spot on about learning more about projection,
Mm.
because that will help you feel safer in whether the person's projecting when they're giving you feedback, or whether it's you're like, so you're no longer taking all the blame for it.
Yeah, because like yeah,
Yeah.
you'd be like, okay, that was a bit annoying on my behalf, but maybe they're a bit upset right now, and maybe they're sort of, you know, yeah.
What were you noticing, Glenda? I noticed that you were like, oh yeah.
Oh, gee. Noticing, as you said, like when they're actually projecting onto you, and then you feel like crawling into a hole, and then, you're getting that feedback. Constructive feedback is great. Destructive is horrible when you feel they're actually throwing at you and having a go at you as such. And then that trigger comes in instantly. And then I just feel like throwing words back.
Yes.
But then I have to, I'm learning to pull back, take a breath,
Mhm.
take it, and like as long as it's constructive. But then also, you are then able to give your feedback as to something that's possibly been bothering you. So I don't know. That may sound like it's tit for tat.
A little bit. When you were saying that, yeah, I can hear what you're saying. Like it might open up a dialogue. But what we want to do is like with the feedback, what you want to stay on track with that feedback that's come in, and then
Mm.
maybe address the other thing at another opportunity, because
Yeah.
the thing
Yeah.
coming in, and that might be like, you know, like there's a reason why that other thing's there. The thing that's coming in, it's getting curious about both people's processes in that. So if I feel like I'm being attacked, I would lean into a question, and this is a practice, by the way. This takes so much practice. I would lean into a question to the person giving me the feedback, because if I felt attacked, what I would be noticing is that there's something upsetting them, and they're expressing it from that upset, which is projection. So I want to know what's actually what, you know, you giving me this feedback. I'm noticing myself feeling a bit judged. I'm just wondering, are you upset? What's happening for you? Can you tell me what's going on here? Like just leaning into that conversation.
Yeah. It's pretty hard when, like, I that's exactly what I like to do. It happens to be my son. um, and then, like, there's never a lot of the time, because I'm living, as you know, with my son and his partner. There's not a lot of actual time then that I can get him alone to ask that question.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
Okay.
it makes it really, really difficult. Well, really difficult to a point, because then, you know, it could be a couple of days later or whatever. And it's like, well, oh, you know, maybe it's forgotten about now or whatever. And I really would like to just say, well, what, you know, was something upsetting you yesterday afternoon or whatever, which I'm hoping to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's great. Like I always
Mm.
ask for permission. I'm just like, because you know some people are not at a top capacity to have those conversations, and then sometimes they are. So
Yes.
what I tend to do is I give them a bit of like a heads up. I'll just be like, hey, I was really wanting to check in with you today. Is now a good time, or could we make a time to catch up just to check in? And
Mm.
then it sort of preps, it gives them that option to lean in, or to give them space to be able to lean in a little later on. But I always recommend
Yes.
addressing it, because it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger if you don't. Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Aware.
Oh, I'm sure of that one.
Jeez. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, well, if you're all got the information, I know that projection, it's like we've touched on it. We've just touched the surface. It is a practice. I'm still practicing it, and I know a lot about this stuff. So like I don't think it's something we just learn and that's it. It's like it's a practice, because we're dealing with different environments, people all the time that bring up different sort of activations. So yeah, happy
Yeah.
practice.
Thank you.
Thank you for both of you coming on and being vulnerable and open.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's quite good being able to actually do that these days and not feeling like or not feeling unsafe, realistically.
Good, good.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad we've got this little space. Feels
Yeah.
good. Kate, you
Same.
enjoy your time at the farm?
Sorry, what?
You enjoy your time at the farm
Oh, yes, yes.
with the goats? How the goats going?
Good. Am I on mute or can you hear
No,
me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. They're really great. I just milked them this morning and then I was cutting firewood. But the funniest thing happened when I just came on. My puffer jacket had a hole in it. So just as I sat down, I was like having this
Oh,
that's why I was like all scatty and like, ah.
I'm gonna take it off.
this,
I had to take it off and there's like all these little tiny feathers everywhere. I was like, this is
oh, you've got feathers in your hair. Feathers in your hair.
yeah.
I,
Yeah. I
Saw
was
that.
this is because I had 15 minutes and I was like, I could just sit down and be ready for this thing, or I could like turn on the like saw and cut some firewood.
I love
But
that.
anyway, but it's really good. And I think, and I'll muse, I guess, like to me, I just saw projection as me seeing people like from my past, but it's a bigger thing than that.
Yes.
Like, as in, I don't like that person because they remind me of something in my past. That's how I kind of just saw projection. So I
Yeah.
have to like read up, Google, do some drawings and try and get my head around it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, and just notice that you could also just even just doing the work with me and the activation work, you're getting your head around it in that way as well.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Just looking at the chickens outside. I moved their house. Anyway.
Amazing. All right. It was so good to see
All right.
you.
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Good
You're
to see you.
welcome.
See you, Kate.
Yeah, bye. Good to see you.